And even though the voice actor's like, what's going on? It's like, but the music's coming in and it's pitch black and it's like...
Two Konami classics that kickstarted two beloved series of games, but only one can win. Today, Jim Caddick, Barry Kramer, Gerard Khalil, and Shane Gill join me, Forrest Lee, as we compare these two PlayStation classics. It's Silent Hill and Metal Gear Solid, and this is Madness.
Welcome back to Madness, where we're comparing the best PlayStation 1 games.
As voted for by other people.
The best, objectively. Today, we're talking about Silent Hill and Metal Gear Solid, two Konami games.
We love Konami.
Konami's the best.
They've never done anything wrong.
No.
But this was a different time.
And this was in an era where you could look at that and be like, man, Konami can do like no wrong.
You see that Konami logo and you're like, ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
Okay, so both of these games are really cool and use the limitations of this system pretty well because...
This is going to be a theme, isn't it? The PS1 was really limited in everything. So what games...
They really tried their best.
They tried their hardest.
The draw distance in Silent Hill, they kind of just... They turn it into Seattle weather. It's like
ingenious. Ingenious.
Yeah,
Yes.
I
and
love
Metal Gear
that.
Solid, it's snow.
Yeah.
So...
And, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Metal Gear Solid's top down, so
Yeah, you barely even see that far anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't need to render all that stuff, except for when you go to first person, but I never do that in Metal Gear Solid.
Who does
so.
that? That's weird.
No,
Yeah, no one ever does that, no.
So, does anyone have anything like they want to talk about other than the draw distance?
I think Silent Hill's boring.
Oh, okay,
no,
okay.
do you know what?
I don't have my soundboard, but please explain yourself.
Wait, just pretend you have one.
Coming from someone who loves Silent Hill, I actually completely get what you mean.
I mean, look, I recently been playing through it just for fun, and I think it has just a rough start. It has a real rough beginning that it's one of those games that I've started and stopped several times just because the pacing's always felt a little off. I think had it a little bit more of the RE2 approach of like kind of throwing it out there right away in that survival horror genre.
Dude, that's an interesting point.
You're kind of like, I mean, I get the idea of it, right? You know, you're kind of in an isolated town trying to find, you know, someone you love, and you're kind of wandering aimlessly. But I think, given what they presented, it doesn't quite have the same kick to like jumpstart the narrative as it could.
Yeah.
Whereas something with Metal Gear Solid, within minutes, it's
Yeah.
like you're infiltrating a base and you have to do this, and the stakes are there, and the credits are rolling, but like you're playing the credits, and there's people trying to get you, and then you know the reveal of like it's very out the gate. It's a heist. It's Die Hard.
And Silent Hill came out in a world where we already had Resident Evil 1 and 2.
Right.
And Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
With all due respect, you're wrong, and here's why.
Here's
sorry,
my
I
18
had my
pages.
hand there waiting to just say,
Sure.
like I was softening the blow a little bit there.
Sure.
No,
I'm told I'm wrong every day,
No.
so that's fine.
Okay, no. This is the interesting thing. They both, like, Metal Gear Solid actually, I think it's backwards. But I don't think the beginning of Metal Gear Solid's actually bad because of it. I think that the way MGS begins with the best is yet to come, and you're in the water, and it's like, this is like, because Metal Gear Solid was basically the first cinematic game, right? Essentially, like as far as having long cutscenes and
Hideo Kojima really wants to make.
I wouldn't say the first game.
Well, not the first game, but like the one that kind of made it
was
big,
the first big
popular.
breakthrough.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's definitely
so the way
it's definitely
it starts
told-
off, like you've got this like kind of like the aesthetic. It's grimy and everything, but it starts off with like Irish hymn music. And then you end up there, and then you're stuck in the game, and then that's it. And then the music kicks in, you're like, oh god, this is serious, right? With Silent Hill, though, you don't like the beginning. I think it's one of the best horror beginnings of all time. Because the way that you get there, and you just think, all right, we're in a town, it's foggy, all right, looking for our daughter. Oh, she's over there, let's follow her. Okay, now we're in an alley. Okay, it's dark now. Get the match out. Oh my god, there's blood. Everything's going wrong. There's rust. Everything's going on. There's music kicking in.
Oh, hey, a dog.
Yeah, it's like everything starts.
hi,
There's a corpse of a dog just there, and everything just slowly starts descending into madness. And then you get attacked by things that want to eat your dick, and then you wake up in a cafe, and then a thing flies in the window. After that, it then starts to ease off, and then it's
And
like
then it slows down.
Yeah, I was gonna say the way that you descend into Silent Hill and you flip between the hell dimension and the real dimension, the fog world.
May I ask you a question, Caddy?
Yeah.
How old were you when you first played Silent Hill?
I was pretty young because I had funnily enough, I had the demo in my Metal Gear Solid. I had the because it was a Konami game,
Makes
right?
sense. So the reason why I asked that question is because as someone I played Resident Evil 2 when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I have zero nostalgia for Silent Hill. But more importantly, I also have zero nostalgia for Metal Gear Solid, and I played both of them.
Oh, really? I thought you did.
A couple of years ago.
Okay.
And so for me, not knowing either of the franchises or their history and playing them for the first time through, I felt that the reason why it was boring in the beginning is because of, I guess, my age and experience, right? That's always going to play a factor.
You've seen worse than that, right? That's the thing.
But in the case of Metal Gear Solid, clearly the cinematic pacing is there, the voice acting is there.
Absolutely.
You boot up Silent Hill and it's almost like Twin Peaks, and not in like the cool like David Lynch way. It's just
dated cheese.
What's happening?
Exactly. It's a dated cheese.
I will give Silent Hill some credit there, because I'd never played that intro sequence until a couple days ago on stream, and when it's like the camera's just sort of locked behind you, he's got that really awkward run cycle.
But there's also, it's like when you go around the corner and then the camera starts going like that. It's like it's so
like
cool.
It seems very stable, but something's off. And then once you go down that hallway, once you're saying, like, you start getting these weird Dutch angles, and the camera's moving. It's not the fixed perspectives of Resident Evil.
I was about to say it's the Dutch angle of video games.
Basically, I mean, okay,
it's a little off. Yeah. And I was just like, what's happening? This is great. And then there was blood everywhere like that. It's a very powerful sequence. And as much as I love Metal Gear Solid, nothing really comes close to that level of like emotional, like, oh my god, not the horror side, just the like,
so
what's going on?
What about Psycho Mantis?
Psycho Mantis isn't...
Nothing comes close? How about that whole Psycho Mantis segment?
Yeah.
To me, Psycho Mantis is like a parlor trick. It's just like, it's like pick a card, any card. I love Psycho Mantis.
But
it's not this like, I don't know what the game is
like
anymore.
Being revealed, and it's like, oh, I don't quite know what's happening. Oh, this is weird. What's going on?
But that's like a different emotion, though. It's more a case of, oh my god, how am I going to take this guy down, more than what is Silent Hill? Like, how am I going to survive next?
What is the video game that I'm playing? I mean, again, like I didn't play either of these games back when they came out, so I'm again viewing them through a more modern lens. So, I mean, I love the Psycho Mantis fight, but I think it just strikes a different chord than what Silent Hill goes for.
I think, okay,
and it's not just the horror versus like kind of campy whatever the hell Psycho Mantis is, but
I think that the most common thing that these games share is that they both have a lot of things wrong or weird with them.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
What they also succeed in and what they pioneer in are also in drastic ways that succeed well. So, for instance, in my opinion, Metal Gear Solid does not have the greatest controls. It does not.
No, it doesn't.
It tried to do a lot with a little.
It tried to do a lot with a little, and there's a lot of respect to be had there because of like it made it work really nicely. And it really takes a lot of trial and error to understand what kind of game Metal Gear is. Metal Gear isn't a game; it's a film. You are playing.
It is.
You are playing a narrative film through the lens of Hideo Kojima.
Yeah.
The fact that they were able to take a massive inventory system and make it usable by just, you hold a button and flip through, and then you select it, and then it's just there you go.
Except for the key cards.
Except for the key cards. those are kind of a nightmare. But you don't have to like
pause.
You don't have to pause the game and be like, okay, I want to use this weapon. Like that's like the Resident Evil, that's the Silent Hill. Like,
you're right. Yeah.
It's constantly interrupting your flow, whereas Metal Gear is just like, boop, 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 okay.
And the sound effects are great and everything. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And going back to what I was getting at.
Sorry.
No. What you're saying is exactly my point. Because then when you get to things like what it did great, whereas Metal Gear had a hard time with the controls, the voice acting is top notch. You have a very cinematic 90s feel. This, like I said, it is Die Hard. It is Schwarzenegger. It is that like intense 90s action film where the president's on the phone and he wants results, damn it. Like it's that kind of tense 90s action that it succeeds really well at, whereas on the Silent Hill end,
it's just terrible.
It's just not great. You have a lot of weird voice act, and the thing is that's what makes the narrative, to me, interesting, but also a very moot point. Like, it's very bizarre.
I think Silent Hill stuck with that throughout the other games. I think because it was kind of like no one knows really what Silent Hill is. It's an entity of itself. So even when Silent Hill 2 came out, like I don't know if you knew with the HD remasters there was remastered voice acting. Like they redid the whole thing.
It's the same thing with Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
With
Okay. I'm getting to that, but like because I don't like that at all. But the thing with the Silent Hill thing is that if you play it with the better voice acting, it's just not the same. It needs to be uncomfortably weird. That's what makes it
needs to be uncanny valley.
Yeah,
because everything else in the game is.
So is the appeal of Silent Hill that it is David Lynchian in the fact that it's purposely trying to be bad?
It's not purposely trying to be bad. It's trying to confuse you and unsettle you. Yeah. And yeah, it is trying to scare you, but that's
I feel like Deadly Premonition is the prime example of that, right? That's when
I haven't played that.
Well, Deadly Premonition took a lot from stuff like Silent Hill,
right?
It didn't do it very well.
Right. But, so I guess because I'm using that as reference because I'm trying to figure out what that scale
to me,
means.
I think what I always viewed as the importance of Silent Hill, having never really been a fan of the franchise myself, to me, I saw things like Resident Evil as being survival horror, but they're like an action-y version of that.
It's more tense, isn't it? It's not scary as much as it's tense.
It's tense, it's suspenseful, it's like a really scary roller coaster. Whereas Silent Hill is like a horror movie that
play.
It sounds very cliche, but it's a horror movie you play. But it's like it is that kind of David Lynchian world, just maybe not as deftly handled as a David Lynch film, but
I mean, even we were talking about this earlier when you were just flipping through the soundtrack. Like, even the way that they work with the soundtrack, they use dentist drills and all sorts of just weird, horrible,
slightly detuned guitars.
Yeah, just weird distortion and everything. It's so obsessed with giving you. It's making Silent Hill its own, because there's nothing else like Silent Hill. That's what I love about it.
Even within the survival horror genre, I feel like it really expanded what that genre was capable of.
Yeah,
I don't think Silent Hill expanded anything really. Like it came after Resident Evil 1 and 2 that had already done a lot. Like
but again, it's my point that
there were other survival horror games that did similar stuff.
Oh, and in terms of gameplay, it's not that much different at all. But it's the sensation it wants to make. It's the
you can say like Alone in the Dark or something. Yeah. But like I don't think anything
like
really.
Clock Tower.
Well, it's the stuff like in Silent Hill. You're in the school. You go to the hell version of the school. You go into the bathroom. You hear someone crying in one of the stalls. Nothing happens. Sorry, I just swore at you.
But I think that formulaic approach though is what kind of really puts Silent Hill in a weird place for me, because like. You go in there, it's a haunted place, you find the mystery, you solve it, you fight the boss, place gets restored, you go to the new area. Like it feels kind of sandboxy in that way, where it's like you fix the problem, you move on, and then you
it's kind of like a pulpy paperback.
But like with that,
and then the end of that chapter, let's move on.
And then they went back
just kind of winds all over the place.
But there's just it wants to make you feel like uneasy. It wants to constantly mess with your expectations. And Metal Gear Solid, as much as I love it, does hit a lot of the same kind of.
I was just about to say, not to like interrupt you, but we've talked so much about Silent Hill. We really need.
We do need to.
I'm talking about Silent Hill because I'm playing Devil's Advocate. Metal Gear Solid is amazing.
Yes,
I adore it in every way.
And tell us, what are some things that Metal Gear does that you really like? That
so again, I didn't play it at the time. Actually, my introduction to Metal Gear Solid was Twin Snakes, which is blasphemous.
That's terrible.
But I love Twin Snakes, and I appreciate the ways it's objectively worse than the original one. Like a lot of the voice acting, him kick flipping off of a missile, stuff like that. I get it. First person and like the shifted camera just breaks the game.
Yeah, it does.
Revolver Ocelot is not a threat. His fight is awful. I still love Twin Snakes, but going back to the original, I think it nails a lot of the atmosphere. It nails the stealth.
It's gritty.
You can manipulate the AI very predictably, which is really important for a stealth game. So you're able to just like knock on a wall and run away, and then he's just like, "Oh, what was that noise?" And you're able to get through it, and you get all these gadgets that aren't like silly and flippant, but evolve your experience. And the game does a really good job of just leading you by the nose. Like, here's where you go. And you just have this very
evolving mystery.
You keep moving to new and interesting areas, but feel like you're getting deeper into the belly of the beast, and eventually.
But that's what Silent Hill's like.
I feel like in Silent Hill,
you're going deeper into Silent. Like you start at the top, you go into the sewers, then you go into like the fairground, and then you're in hell.
Of Silent Hill, you're going back and forth.
Talked enough about Silent Hill.
Sorry,
Metal Gear Solid.
Sorry.
But in Silent Hill, you're going back and forth between the same locations. So at least
you
initially.
do that in MGS though,
right? But
I got a PSG1 back 3 hours ago. Go back, Snake.
I mean,
that's true. But the thing about Metal Gear Solid, which literally squishes Silent Hill like a bug, is the narrative. It plays like a film in the sense that there's mysteries and twists and character development and people dying and people revealing themselves.
The stakes are very clear and then get completely non-clear and obtuse.
Are we good with spoilers?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler
I mean,
alert.
I think it's important to know that because
World
it
spoiler.
gives purpose as to why you're going back to certain areas. You're going to get to a different area because you
Yeah.
do the next thing because of the narrative.
And
It's not
every area like matches up with the theme of the boss in that
Yeah.
area as well. Like Psycho Mantis in like a weird library.
Yeah.
where-
Sniper
Yeah,
Wolf
the
is in
supporting
the
cast
snow.
is-
Yeah.
I was just gonna
gallery,
say.
yeah.
I was gonna say.
Amazing.
I'm not ashamed to say, Sniper Wolf's death made me cry.
It's a rough
horrible.
fight.
It's
a rough
horrible.
Fight, yeah.
What kind of supporting cast does Silent Hill have? I really.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
It has the
In
police
fact,
officer.
the best
Fog.
thing,
Dog.
Okay, sorry, I know.
I wanted to be a soldier, but war is ugly. There's nothing glamorous about it.
That's another thing actually. Both these games have multiple endings.
Oh yes, they two. MGS two has
Technically
two.
multiple.
MGS has two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does Silent Hill 1 have a Shiba ending?
Yeah, it has a UFO ending, which is brilliant.
I always enjoy
That could also just be canon in Metal Gear.
Yeah,
It probably is.
But anyway, going. Okay, talking Metal Gear again. How many games has anyone played, or any films where you've got two anime pictures moving at 2 frames, 3 frames? But how could you sit there and watch it and be completely absorbed by
Are
it?
you ready for it? The voice acting.
Yeah, no, I'm not asking it as a bad thing. I'm saying no
what
other game.
other game?
I thought you were trying to be like.
No, I wasn't.
Good.
I
Like,
wasn't.
you
No,
can just sit there
It's
and look at that
incredible.
codec screen like, oh wow.
Yeah,
It's even a step
what's
down
going on?
in Metal Gear Solid 3 where all you get is like a 3D model station
I
in the
hate
back
that.
and then a
I hate
stationary image and you're still like, oh my god, what's happening?
I do want to talk about the voice acting because David Hayter's performance as Snake
It's
is
iconic.
it's one of the video
Yeah.
game performances.
It's so good that when
Colonel.
he did not get announced for Metal Gear Solid 5, the internet raged.
Yeah, they did.
and Jesus wept.
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they bring back David Hayter for Smash Ultimate, I'm like,
Yeah.
That's because it's the ultimate version.
yeah,
I think
it's
that
the one true
this is the funny thing though, going on the Twin Snakes, like the voice acting in Twin Snakes, even though it's the same cast more or less, I describe it as 80s rock opera singing. Like the original game is like, this is Snake, Colonel, can you hear me? And then in the new one it's like, this is Snake, Colonel, can you hear me? It's like, it's so over the top silly and it's like, there's so many pauses and it doesn't feel natural.
It doesn't feel natural, but the sillier voice acting to me kind of fits.
Oh, it fits with the stupid.
Because I mean,
the tone.
Even besides the stuff they changed between
Yeah.
the two, that makes
Yeah.
it kind of sillier.
But then
like-
David Hayter said that when he did MGS1, that was the first time he tried doing that voice, so you can hear him like going for it, and it works. It works really well. Like,
usually,
I mean, imagine
It's
if we heard
campy,
Batman
but-
for the
yeah,
first
it's
time,
campy, but it's great.
and it was like Bale, right? You know, that like.
Oh,
Yeah. Whereas we had Conroy, and Conroy was like,
I
Well,
think
Batman was.
Batman the Animated Series is the best PlayStation.
absolutely, absolutely.
You haven't saved your mission in a long time anyway, right?
What's going on?
We're gonna have to start wrapping up soon. So, any final points anyone wants to? Throw
Final
out?
points.
Okay. all
Metal
right.
Gear Solid has better atmosphere than Silent Hill.
That is
Yeah,
correct.
Okay, no, I agree.
Okay.
No,
Oh,
I don't.
alright.
No, I don't. No, I don't agree with that. But there was one other thing you got to think about with Metal Gear as well. Even though Silent Hill, you're right, it does the same things Resident Evil does. Metal Gear, I think in the whole game, there's maybe 15 to 20 guards in the whole game.
that's not true.
No? Yeah, it's because of how much you go back and forth. And like,
Well-
no, and the very beginning of the game, there is that only guard can follow your footprints in the snow. The only guard in the game that can do that. And at the beginning of the game, you have the water, and the only guard, whose footprints are these? That's the only time that
Because
ever
every area
happens.
has its own environmental hazards.
But they're all the same after that. The beginning of the game is the only one that uses those
What are you
mechanics.
talking about? You got.
Look, you forget this because you start the
There's
game.
a whole there's a whole big room where you can't use your weapons.
Yeah, I know, and I'm not.
There's
I'm
like
not
all these different.
But I'm just saying that in terms of like
Run
they
up
make,
a staircase?
No, they make
Rappel down
such-
the building?
Yeah, that bit's terrible. But the point is that like it gives you so many mechanics at the beginning of the game, and then you're at that point you're hooked, and then you don't realize that it takes the mechanics away. And at
It's
the
not
end of
taking
it,
mechanics away. That's the environment.
okay, the environment's
environment's
changing, and then it becomes you can knock on walls, and then you can distract people by
I mean, there
standing
are
on metal
mechanics that you
grates.
manipulate. True.
Yeah,
But
What's up, Jared?
I think we're talking about cohesiveness, right, in these games, like cohesive overall pictures. If we, it's like
We're talking about cohesive. We're not talking about Silent Hill.
No,
Right,
yeah,
exactly,
you're right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think if let's say we're eating a nice meal. I'm going to pull Alex Fossey on you for a second. We're eating a nice meal, and you're
and then you hear a child crying in the distance, and then you realize you're in Silent Hill.
Well, the idea is like,
you have to work out where it's coming from. Open the burger.
if
My burger's making static.
Well, like, you know, I guess we consume this. We consume content all the time, right? We consume games. Like, if we're talking about like Metal Gear Solid versus Silent Hill, I'm talking like steak and potatoes with like vegetable garnish, and then like a burger with maybe some chips. Like, but like the chips are old or stale, or like the burger meat's not what it's supposed to be.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
Like I think like the overall picturesque thing that sells about this meal, about this game rather, is the cohesiveness of it. And I think Metal Gear Solid just nails cohesion, nails what it's trying to do. It knows it's a joke at times. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's serious enough. The Psycho Mantis fight alone sets the tone of like, this is a serious game, but it doesn't mean we can't get weird.
Yeah.
Whereas Silent Hill is like,
it just tries to be weird.
Makes sense all the time, and that's weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay. I'm gonna wrap up my final thing. Okay.
Yeah. All right. And then you gotta vote. I'm making you vote first.
Okay. I'll vote right now. I'll vote right now.
Do it.
Okay. I'm voting Metal Gear Solid, and I know I've gone on. Okay, I'll tell you why. The reason I kept going on about Silent Hill.
Our camera guy over there was just like, what?
Yeah, no. Listen. The reason I went on and on about Silent Hill is because I was just defending it because I love Silent Hill. Metal Gear Solid, everyone knows how great it is. And I don't need to repeat what everyone said.
It just felt like you were trying to convince us all.
No, I'm not trying to. No.
Me and Gerard were looking at each other in the middle. It's like, is this where this is going? Like, because these two were just talking about Silent Hill, and we were just like,
no, I was just.
It's because I know how I feel about Metal Gear Solid. I don't know how I feel about Silent Hill.
That's exactly what I was saying. That's exactly my point. I know how I feel about MGS. All of the fourth wall breaking and the self-awareness and the fact it knows it's a silly video game and Snake can take hits and can't die somehow.
Go look at your user manual.
Yeah, but there's not even that. It's not even stuff like that. It's like so many little things that MGS does, and it's ingenious for how early it came out in gaming history. So, but I don't need to say that because everyone already knows it. So that's why I'm voting MGS. But I did want to talk about Silent Hill because I do love that as well. That's
Gerard, Shane, Barry.
MGS.
Metal Gear Solid.
Okay, MGS.
It would have taken.
MGS. Go. Let's go.
No, based on the arguments, I have to vote for
Silent Hill.
Silent Hill
Right,
because that.
I mean, I think if like two of you guys were diehard Silent Hill fans, it still would have been a very uphill fight to knock me from Metal Gear Solid over to Silent Hill. It's just one of a kind.
Yeah.
And god dang, is it good.
Yeah, I think that's the difference as well. It's flawed, but Silent Hill has way more flaws.
We somehow managed to talk about Metal Gear Solid the entire time without talking about the fact that the main iconic thing about the game is you hide in a cardboard box.
Well, we'll talk about that next time.
I never do that.
This game.
I never do that.
But which one are you voting for?
Oh, Silent Hill, because you guys talked about it way too much. It was based on the argument.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Theme song.
You're wrong.
Theme song's great.
Who do you think should have made it to the winners semifinals? Let us know down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this, please remember to like and subscribe for more episodes of Madness every Tuesday and Thursday. Also, we're running a contest right now, so don't forget to enter for your chance to win a PlayStation Classic and PlayStation 4 Pro.